If you cut this out, I will sue Dear Media. You've silenced a woman.
That actually is a good headline. Whitney Cummings sues Dear Media.
I had to lie a lot as a kid because I was just always so embarrassed. Because I'm a woman, I had to work twice as hard to get half as far.
It's very hard to attract a man because they're intimidated.
Men do tend to think I'm a little bit scary or something.
I'm not touching this topic with a 10-foot pole.
The problem with society today is people, talk without getting punched in the face,
I've dated other women. If she...
What?
Yeah.
Ew!
I need to know more about your childhood, where you grew up, set the foundation. I know this is annoying, but we just want to know what Whitney was before she was Whitney Cummings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to try to just answer this in a way that isn't boring and that I think because I'm a fan.
Oh,
and
you.
Knowing sort of how your fans are, I'm going to try to answer this in a way that they would get something out of. Given where I think that we might be going with this conversation is I grew up in an alcoholic home with a tremendous amount of stress. I think I was born addicted to adrenaline. I've thought a lot about epigenetic imprinting and looked a lot into that. And, the chemicals that are emitted to the fetus in utero, they're born addicted to. So if you do crack when you're pregnant, your baby's going to be addicted to crack, right? But if you're doing the internal drug cabinet, of adrenaline and cortisol, my mom was, pregnant with me and going through a bad divorce and in a super acrimonious situation with my dad. And I think, she was producing a lot of adrenaline and cortisol. And I think I was just born addicted to it. And I was just always on super high alert. Alcoholic homes, you're super hyper vigilant. You become a people pleaser. You become a chameleon, obsessed with shape shifting in order to, try to diffuse chaos. You try to figure out how to break up fights. You become like a parentified child type thing. So I think I just had a lot of stress and chaos in my childhood, not trying to get pity, any of that. It's just helpful for me to know, neurologically, what I came from, because a lot of my health stuff now has to do with trying to course correct or, get the pendulum to swing back the other way, knowing that I have an addiction to adrenaline.
So do you feel uncomfortable if things are calm in your life?
Not anymore. I used to. I used to definitely feel alive in a time of crisis. And when things were smooth, it was like the Damocles sword was hanging and it was always like, when is the shoe going to drop? So when things were calm, that's when you get anxious. Absolutely. But now I'm at a point where, I can actually
I relate to that a lot because she's, what do you call it? Looking for the saber tooth?
It's called saber tooth.
Love it.
Where's the saber tooth?
It's like nothing's wrong. And I'm just looking what's going to, like a cat on a tin roof.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then, but also, do you think that mentality ends up manifesting that, or,
It's weird how
do you think you get what you expect?
Well, I think you have a couple of choices if you're wired certain ways. I try to look at the things that it's brought me in my life. I think being hypervigilant in some situations is good. But as I get older and
men
kids,
have to be. You have to be.
Yeah, but
we're going to war soon.
But also,
not me. I'm too old.
Don't you think that how your childhood has helped? Obviously you think this. It's helped shape you to become so successful. There's got to be so many positives out of what you went through.
Yeah, I love that you're saying that. I call it trauma privilege. And because if you're able to just accept what happened and know that you cannot change it and realize that you actually got some superpowers out of it, I think it's the only way to move through life. We forgive others not because they deserve forgiveness, but because we deserve peace. So once I started going everyone thinks that I work really hard and I feel like I had a lazy day. What's up with that? I just had this psycho work ethic, because I had to be perfect in order to get attention and to get love. I had to earn love. I had to work really hard to get attention. Achievements were really big. I defined myself through my achievements. I got my self-esteem from my achievements and productivity and usefulness to others, and so to me, my sort of tolerance for hard work is so much higher than other people's, because I had to work so hard for approval. I was a parentified child, so I was sort of managing my own life and organizing myself. I had to get myself to school. I had to pack my own lunch. I had to get my permission slip.
From what age?
Oh, 7,
Wow.
6, 7. Yeah. It was parents hung over, couldn't get me to school. I had to go to the neighbor's house and con them and charm them and beguile them into taking me to school and getting me, food. So it's I had this ability to just kind of, charm people. Look, charisma is a red flag. Let's be honest. I definitely used it. Here's the trick. And I'm in a program called Al-Anon ACA, which is the sort of sister program to AA. So in AA, you're addicted to alcohol, and NA, you're addicted to narcotics, and sex addiction, you're addicted to sex, whatever. Al-Anon, when you come from an alcoholic home, the sort of character defects / superpowers that you develop to survive it it end up, really helping you when you're young. But then when you move into the world and you have employees and stuff, it starts backfiring. They become liabilities. You're carrying around a bunch of weapons, even though the war has been over for 30 years, So I had to really figure out which ones were serving me and which ones were obstacles and limiting me. So is that helpful?
No, it's crazy how self-aware you are. And I remember reading one of your books, I want to say 10 years ago when we lived in San Diego. And I remember reading this and being like, there's a self-awareness that a lot of people don't have. How do you think that you developed that?
That's a really good question. And I actually have an answer. I think that being a comedian really helps with that because the audience doesn't let you be delusional.
Yeah.
Being a stand-up, the way that I came up, especially, at the Comedy Store, beginning with, doing 3-minute open mics at 1 a.m. for 5 German tourists in the audience and just bombing my ass off. And, you really figure out who you are really fast because the audience you're looking for a reflexive reaction, an involuntary reaction. And if you're full of shit, it makes people uncomfortable. If you're not self-aware, if you're delusional, unless you're super delusionally confident and that's its own art form, like the Robin Williamses of the world or whatever. But, for the way that I do it, if you're not telling the truth or if you're saying something that you don't really believe or saying something that's contrary to your essence and they don't buy it, if you're what you're saying is incongruous with the ethos you're giving off, they just call bullshit on you. So you have to kind of figure out who you are really fast and what you can pull off, what you can get away with. And you have to learn how to not lie. One thing that I think, was a character defect that I did get as a child that doesn't serve me today, that isn't a trauma privilege, is the ability to manipulate and lie. It's something I had to do a lot in order to, get my neighbors to give me food. And, when you have alcoholics and addicts and chaotic people raising you, you end up having to cover up their lies a lot. So it was a lot of no, my mom has a black eye because of this, or I wasn't able to make it to school because of this. I had to lie a lot as a kid because I was just always so embarrassed, and it's something I think people don't talk about a lot from chaotic homes or, growing up without money or growing up around alcoholism is that you are embarrassed and you're trying to lie to people to hide what's going on. You just want your friends to come over and think that your house is cool. They come over, there's no food in the fridge. There's no hot water. It's just a chaotic mess. I never had the permission slip signed. I never had the check. I never had the uniform. I never had the right uniform. I'm the kid that showed up in the wrong uniform, And so, so I really had to get a hold on that. And then, so when I first started doing stand up, I was like, oh, I'm just going to be this person that, everyone's going to want me to be. And, this worked as a child. I was able to be perfect and funny and say what my mom wanted me to say so that she didn't get offended or histrionic or say what I needed to say to my dad for him to give me attention and love me. And then you get on stage as a comic and everyone's like, what are you doing? I don't buy it. Those alcoholics that raised you, drunk people bought it, but we don't get this, so I really had to figure out who I was. And then also, it's going to sound boring and dorky, but therapists didn't work for me. 12-step programs have. But, as Phil Stutz says, when you go into a room with a bunch of people and admit all your secrets, you're able to have grace, to release that shame. That really helped me because shame is what was driving my inauthenticity so much and my lack of self-awareness. They say that when you're in active addiction, even if it's the internal medicine cabinet of adrenaline, because adrenaline turns into dopamine, so it's a drug. When you see, people that are always just in a dramatic relationship, they're always rescuing people. They're always if they need to be somewhere at 4:00 and it takes half an hour, they leave at 4:30. I'm sorry, at 3:30. Just to get that. It's almost subconscious self-sabotage. Oh, well, it's not affecting you at all. I mean, you don't.
No, it's affecting me. But go on.
For me, therapists, I would even try to charm therapists. My mom took my behavior very personally and my, she was, it's tricky. And I, again, I have no anger towards her, but if I wasn't doing well in school or was hey, can we get some food? She would get very defensive. She was very insecure. She had eating disorder. She was an alcoholic. She was, so I never wanted to hurt her, upset her. So when I started,
how it reflected on her.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Exactly it. And I don't want to be the person that throws around words, and I'm not a doctor narcissism and gaslighting and borderline and all that. Although I was, told she was borderline. By police officers, but they're not psychiatrists either, and those definitions change a lot. So I try to just really not bring that stuff up. But I would go to therapists and I would lie to them because I didn't want them to tell my mom that I wasn't okay, so I was so protected. So I would you
were protecting sort of the abuser.
Yeah. But I was a kid. I was a kid. I also didn't want someone to tell, it was I didn't want have to keep coming.
What has your mom thought of you being so honest? I mean, I think it's amazing, and it is what it is. What does she feel when she hears all this stuff?
She's dead.
Okay. What did she hear?
She died like a year and a half ago. You know, I don't know. She had a stroke like 10 years ago from drinking, and you know, she was in facilities and you know, ICUs and stuff on all kinds of drugs. And
so did she get to see the success you've had?
She got to see it. Yeah. Yep. And it was confounding to her. You know, it's so funny, like the way that moms, like I'm sure you guys have like a version of this, like where your parents, they either don't understand that you're successful or they over compliment you to the point to where you have to feel bad. Like by the time she figured out I had like 2 or 3 specials and I'm on HBO, she'd call me and she'd be like, how come you're not on Grey's Anatomy? She'd be like, did you see this Wonder Woman movie? How come you're not Wonder Woman? And I'd be like, you know what? I forgot to call them back. You know what? Like, you know, so it's almost this like, she'd be like outraged by the injustice that she's like, the Golden Globe nominees just came out. How come you're not? Okay, they overlooked you. Wow, this is corrupt. And you're like, Mom, thank you for that. I'm in like this middle ground that you just refuse to acknowledge.
Did you have a relationship where she like was maybe jealous in a way, or no? Or was it like she was supportive?
You know, that's a really interesting question. I have a hard time understanding that anyone would be jealous of me, and people say that a lot.
Well, especially your parent, right?
Yeah, it's kind of, my mom is very beautiful. You know, she worked in fashion. She, you know, actually I found out when she passed that she had, you know, Jewish ancestry, but she was also like pretty anti-Semitic, which is a very good tell. If you're trying to figure out if you have any ancestry for anything, if your family like hates Armenians, you might be Armenian secretly. You know, it's like it was this like internalized anti-Semitism or something. So she had a lot of anger. You know, she was in a really bad marriage. Like this is like the first generation where marriages are good. Like this is like, do you know what I mean? I'm sure a lot of people listening are like, no, my grandparents were, you know, really happy. Yeah, that was before Facebook and social media. Like they met 3 people of the opposite gender like a year and they lived like 17 miles away. Like there was no concept of what you were missing. There was no concept of like, I could do better, you know? So I feel like, you know, the generation before, you know, it was like there was a lot of infidelity. There was a lot of just like, you know, chaos. There was, you know, they just weren't meant for each other. And I think that ultimately my parents were love addicts, which I've studied a lot of and I've gone to those meetings and stuff. It's sort of when you're in a toxic relationship and you cannot extricate yourself because it's such an addictive chemical, adrenaline and drama, and you just can't get out.
I don't think that's talked enough about how addicting adrenaline and chaos is. It's like that almost needs to be up there with alcohol and drugs.
I love that you're saying this. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm just, it is, I think that what we're seeing on social media as well, all this like negative comments, what's going on with politics, I think it's all an adrenaline addiction. And I think it's like the number one addiction because, you know, you can get it without, it's why the food addiction and the OA thing is so hard because like drugs and alcohol, you're completely abstemious, you know, but adrenaline and food, you have like, you're going to get it sometimes if someone cuts you off in traffic, you know, you don't always control when you're going to get it.
You can't see it. It's not tangible. Your next special should be called Adrenaline Addiction.
You know, I was talking to an Uber driver the other day, and he was an older gentleman, super nice guy, and he was talking about his kids are getting on social media, and he was trying to like, you know, he doesn't use it. He was like, why is everything so crazy? And I was like, I think it's what you're talking about. People are so, they're so much more interested in the chaos and the drama and the anger.
Addicted to, I think.
If you just have a normal, calm conversation, it's not enough for them to get riled up. And all the clips you see, you know?
You know, it's also something that helps me is the addiction to self-righteous indignation. Self-righteous indignation addiction is super real. And I think that that's what we're seeing on social media. I think we're going to look back in 50 years the same way we look back at how people used to smoke inside. And, you know, kids used to work in factories. We're going to be like, remember when you could just go on social media and just fight with anyone whenever you wanted and get that hit of adrenaline? You know, we're all in total fight or flight mode, not only because we're, you know, in a constant state of adrenaline and, you know, making enemies constantly, being at war emotionally, but it's also we're hunched over the screen, which is like, you know, your vagus nerve is like completely cut off. And this is a defensive stance that makes adrenaline and cortisol because, you know, thousands of years ago, if you were in this stance, you were either getting attacked or you were hiding and you needed to protect yourself, you know?
I'm advocating for people to just go back to straight up street fist fights.
I talk about this all the time. Chris is
Chris is in.
Well, I'm
I mean,
gonna.
when I was a kid and you would have to get a little anger out, you just go bite some stranger.
There was a consequence to your behavior in some way. I mean, Mike Tyson always talks about it as the problem with society today is people, talk shit without getting punched in the face,
Yeah, I think it's the quickest way to learn not to talk shit.
It's interesting that you just said that you don't think that people are jealous of you. That's wild to me. With what you do, you're one of like the top female comedians. And it seems like it's not a huge pool. I can't imagine that there's not jealousy involved.
But like the way you have to get there is so brutal that people are like, you could have it. I think in my brain, that's something that I guess
I think you understand the way to get, but a lot of people that don't understand how hard it is to get there, they think, oh,
it's like
anything, right?
Totally. And I think for me, jealousy is, I think ultimately because workaholism is my primary addiction and jealousy is such a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's not particularly effective. Sometimes you can, sublimate it into fuel to work harder. Jealousy, I like to think of it as healthy competition. I come from playing sports and I think for me, jealousy or whatever that means always makes you better.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't make you better, what are you doing? So to me, like things that are a waste of time, I just have a really hard time processing why other people would waste time being jealous of someone when they could just use that energy and that time spent to, because I think that when you look at someone that has something you want, you go like, wait, hold on, this person got it. Like that means it's possible.
I feel like this is exactly how I feel. It's like a waste of my capacity to focus on the jealousy, but like I get what you're saying. You use it as maybe a little driver, but it's a waste.
You're using so much bandwidth to be jealous. And I'm like, I could be using this energy to be creating the life that I want that would make me not be jealous anymore.
But you're both wired. Not a lot of people believe when they see somebody else that has something that they have the capacity to go get it themselves. I think that's like the fundamental thing is people will see the success you've had and they don't believe it's possible for them, where you will look at somebody else and be like, I can go do it. If they can do it, I can go do it.
Right. I mean, it's interesting. Like, I think for me, I used to be so jealous of people that had really quote unquote easy childhoods or had money or had loving parents that like read to them. And now I'm kind of not. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you have no life skills. You have no grit. Like, they're so sensitive and they're, they like can't handle negative Instagram comment, and so I'm just like, whoa, like my like YouTube comments are like compared to what I grew up, I'm like, stop flirting. Like, what? Like, I'm a cunt? Oh my God, thank you. And so it's like, by the way, all the negative shit you're saying, like, I agree with you, like, for soulmates, so it's like, to me, the more you go through life and the harder shit gets, I think the more grateful you are for a rough childhood. But it took a lot of acceptance, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of like, dissolving like crystallized resentments and bad habits and stuff. But the adrenaline thing is super real. I agree. Not enough people talk about it. I think, adrenaline, makes dopamine. That's kind of all you need to know,
Yeah.
So do I take from that you, for our children, Lauren and I should just start drinking a lot more?
Look, if it, okay, so this is,
what my friend calls it? Measured adversity. She goes, Lauren, your kids need a little measured adversity.
Agree.
And she gives her kids measured adversity all the time. Mm-hmm. It's fine. Every night, like clockwork, I do the same 2 drinks. I have my magnesium water and my tea. I drink my tea out of this huge cup from the Ivy. It's such a good cup. It's like a huge mug. And in that cup is my Peak Ginger Tea. This is the best to wind down with. It's the most amazing nightcap on the planet, I'm telling you. I've been drinking this tea probably for the last 5 years. It's a digestion elixir. And I swear I can feel it. It's like an inside out kind of feeling. I personally like their tea because it comes in these little packets that you open and you pour in. So you don't have like a microplastic tea bag in hot water. I think their tea is just really well done. There's a lot of integrity behind it. They also have a Sun Goddess matcha. It's amazing matcha. And what's cool is it's organic, it's ceremonial grade, and it's quadruple toxin screened. So they're very serious about their tea. But you got to get the ginger digestion elixir. It's the best tea on the planet. I crave it all the time. I bring it when I'm traveling. Head over to peaklife.com/skinny, PIQUELIFE.com/SKINNY. You get up to 15% off and a free cup and frother. Plus, you get free shipping for life when you start on any of my Peak tea favorites.
Let's talk about Haya, the vitamin that Lauren and I give to our children every single day. We love it so much. We spend so much time thinking about what we're taking as adults, and we need to spend a lot more time thinking about what we give our children. Typical children's vitamins are basically candy in disguise, filled with 2 teaspoons of sugar, unhealthy chemicals, and other gummy junk growing kids should never eat. That's why Haya was created, the pediatrician-approved, super-powered chewable vitamin. Every single morning, Lauren and I open these vitamins, and we ask the kids which color they want. They typically say pink or yellow or green, and they get to choose and be part of this process to live healthier, better lives. While most children's vitamins are filled with 5 grams of sugar and can contribute to a variety of health issues, Haya is made with 0 sugar and 0 gummy junk, yet it tastes great and is perfect for picky eaters. Haya also fills the most common gaps in modern children's diet to provide the full body nourishment our kids need with a yummy taste they love. Formulated with the help of nutritional experts, Haya is pressed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies, then supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals, including vitamin D, B12, C, zinc, folate, and many others to help support immunity, energy, brain function, mood, concentration, teeth, bones, and more. And of course, we've worked out a special deal with Haya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hayahealth.com/skinny. This deal is not available on their regular website. Go to hayahealth.com/skinny and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. hayahealth.com/skinny. This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online, whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand. Squarespace makes it easy to create beautiful websites, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your own time. It is 2024. You should own your own online brand, your own online presence. This is why Lauren and I love Squarespace so much. Lauren and I have largely built most of the success in our career because we focus so much on owning our platforms, whether it's our podcast, our newsletter, our e-com site, anything that we can own online and not be at the mercy of third parties we are interested in. Squarespace helps you do all of that. Like I said, you're not at the mercy of third-party social platforms where you actually don't control your own profile. You're not at the mercy of another algorithm. Squarespace can help you build whatever you're looking to build online, whether that's an online store, whether you're trying to build custom merch, an asset library, if you're trying to build a video collection, email campaign, they can do it all. They also have incredible analytics tools and blogging tools, flexible payment solutions, and even things to build courses and subscriptions all online, all on your own website. Long gone are the days of having to hire 18 different people with exorbitant fees. Squarespace can help you do all of this cost effectively, all in one space. And like I said, you can own your own platform. So if you've been thinking about building an online brand or presence or business, now's the time, and Squarespace can help you do it. So check it out. Head over to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/skinny to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, that is squarespace.com/skinny to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using code skinny.
I mean,
Not with yours. Not talking about with what you went through. I'm talking about like giving my kids little things to brush up on their resilience.
These days, I gotta say I'm joking because the soft people that just got triggered by that comment.
I just learned about mom social media because I just had a baby. I have an 8-month-old.
Congratulations, by the way.
I thought the incel community was rough. That mom community, I really wanted to have my baby, not naturally. I'm animal. In the woods. I'm not a barbarian. I just wanted to have it vaginally, and I induced at 39 weeks because I didn't want to do cesarean. Personal preference, because I wanted to have the option to have another one more quickly, and it takes longer to heal with a cesarean, whatever. And I'm allowed to not want that. You know what I mean? Unless it's necessary. And I almost had to have one, but I posted on social media something. I was like, ideas for like playlist songs for my labor playlist or something. And it was like, I said like Torn by Natalie Imbruglia, like live the
Torn.
Song. You know what I mean?
So torn.
You know what I mean? Like what's the live one? Lightning Crashes. But, it was like kind of that. And to push it, Salt and Pepper, whatever, just like kind of. And then the C-section moms came in and they were like, not everyone could have it vaginally, and you talking about labor is shaming the women that had cesareans. And I was like, how did you get there? Like, how did you even get there? Like, you are going out of your way to get a hit of adrenaline. Like you're going out of your way to intentionally misunderstand something in order to justify being offended. Like if that's not addiction.
They just want acknowledgement.
Sure.
That's what they're looking for, you to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
I think, which is, you're right, a hit of adrenaline.
Mm-hmm, totally.
I want to go back a little bit more, and I want to ask you when your first
we went to utero. How much further back
no,
can we go?
No, not further back than that. But I just want to know when your first like hit of success was. And I'm not talking about like your first like hit special. I'm talking about like when you first started to see that you could become successful, like your first taste of it.
I've been doing this for so long and I still don't have a good answer to that question. I'll try. I think for me, my goals were so impossibly high that because I just figured that there's the higher your goals, the less competition there will be up there.
And when did you set these goals? Like before you had a career? Or?
Oh, I was making vision boards when I was 17, cutting things out of magazines. I was having fake conversations with Oprah. Like I was fully, I was
so you were
a
like,
mental patient, because look, my first drug was fantasy, to check out of my situation as a child. I would pretend I was living with other families. I would pretend I was a celebrity. I would pretend I was in commercials. That was a big disassociative thing I did. I would it's so weird that I had such high goals later, because in the beginning, my dream was just to be in commercials. Like I'd watch commercials of kids like eating like cold cuts and I'd be like, how did that kid... And I would practice like in the mirror. Like I was like, I want to be in commercials. Like I would drive by a billboard with like a McDonald's commercial, the kid, and I'd be like, how did they find him? Why him? And I always wanted to I guess I just wanted to be seen, or I wanted attention or something. And then my dad would watch Rodney Dangerfield and SNL, and I would watch him laugh. And I was like, okay, I got to do that, And so, how do I answer your question? So yeah, my goals were so delusionally high that I think that by the time I was getting little tastes of success, I was just like, we got to keep going. Like, that's not even enough. I think when I first did the roasts, I did the Comedy Central roasts, like, I don't know, that was like 13 years ago or something. That was probably the first time I was like, whoa, like people coming up to me and recognizing me, because I did Punk'd on MTV, which was like mattered on some level, and people would kind of recognize me. Also, like the first time I could pay my bills, like I was able to pay off my debt, stuff like that. I think for me, what makes me feel successful is stuff like that.
I remember when you did those roasts.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that, and we have this conversation. No, that's a great answer. Do we have this conversation?
When my family members started suing me, could that be when I knew I was successful?
Shit, maybe we're not successful yet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. You haven't made it until one of your family members tries to sue you.
Taylor, cut this out of the show.
What do you do when you get a piece of paper that says one of your family members is trying to sue you? What's your reaction?
I'm shocked that didn't happen sooner. Do
you call them up or text them, or are you just
I pay their phone bill, so I just cut the phone bill. Yeah. It's like you just texted me on the phone I paid for to sue me. Okay, so now do you need to borrow money from me to sue me? How does this even work? Yeah, I have a lot of mental illness in my family.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, I just shut down. This is one of the sort of gifts of having trauma. I do have the ability to completely shut down and disassociate when, whether it's Stockholm syndrome or PTSD, whatever it is, it kind of serves me well when it comes to that kind of stuff. I can kind of just like shut down.
Do you think, and whenever we interview a woman who's really successful and driven like you, I ask this question. I think sometimes, and you could speak more eloquently on this, that it's very hard to attract a man because they're intimidated. And you're a perfect mix to me of, you have a lot of masculine energy, but I can tell you also have feminine energy too, but it's heavy on the masculine with your career. Is that been like...
And I'm not trying to nitpick. Can you just say that again in a different way?
Sure.
Like, because is what's masculine about it the fact that I do stand up and I'm like command a room? It's a male dominated field.
Not. That's actually not how I perceive you as masculine energy.
Because you know what it is? It's interesting to me because yes, stand up comedy is a male dominated field, but to me, it's a very feminine art, sport, whatever it is. It's like
It's not that. It's this energy.
But like, isn't it interesting though? Because it's like, stand up is like going on stage, complaining, talking about your feelings.
You're right.
I'll give you an example.
And so when the men do it, I'm like, this is our thing.
It's a little like a little bitch, maybe.
Kind of.
Let me give you a different take on this. A lot of Lauren and I've known each other for a long time. I've dated other women. If she,
What?
yeah,
Ew! You sick fuck!
I can leave her with all my guy friends and be like, oh, she's like one of the guys, and they're all just gonna hang out. Like you have the same energy.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
like
what I'm
you and I
picking
could
up
be
on. It's
hanging out
actually
and
not the comedian thing.
You know what's interesting about this? And sorry that this is going to go where it's going to go, but I come from sports and I do have sexual abuse in my history. And a lot of times, from what I understand, when you have that, you do neuter yourself a little bit. And I was able to I really tried to make myself like not sexual at all when I went into doing stand-up. I like wore a hoodie. I was trans before any of you. I had a hoodie. I was wearing sneakers. Like I had my hair back. Like I just really didn't want to come off like a girl at all or have any sexual energy, if that makes any sense. And then I also wanted to, my dad always told me as toxic it is, he was always like, you're going to have to work twice as hard to get half as far. Life is not fair and people are not going to respect you. He really wanted a son. And I think he was really freaked out that he had daughters and he was just like, I think he had trouble with women and is, projected that everybody did. And he made it very clear to me early on, like, you cannot lead with this. I know I'm not answering your question, but in terms of, I always felt it's almost like me working really hard, even though it seems masculine, is almost a feminine byproduct because I'm a woman, I had to work twice as hard to get half as far, and I don't want anything I don't deserve. And I I'm my perfectionism, which is, I've worked on a lot in ACA Al-Anon, but I had a lot of like really debilitating perfectionism for a long time. And my self-esteem was derived from my, success, my productivity. So I think that's also part of when people are like, your work so hard. And I'm like, yeah, because I hate myself, and then I had to figure out an engine that was actually healthy later.
How have you gotten out of hating yourself? Because I don't feel like when I'm sitting with you that you hate yourself at all.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't now. I mean, look, here's what, and I don't have to tell you about this. Having a child has been so healing for me in this area because I realized, the narcissism of what we do is just so suffocating. And I realized that when I'm thinking about myself 24 hours a day, I hate myself. When I'm thinking about myself like 2 hours a day, I'm like, you're kind of sick. It's just the all day self-obsession of the like, hey guys, I'm touring, and hey guys, I'm on my podcast, and hey guys, ask me anything, I'm traveling, and me. It's just, I think that it was just, you have to kind of be like that, I know, in order to be successful in what we do and kind of shameless like that. But I started just getting kind of sick of myself. And then the hating myself earlier, I'll just say low self-esteem, I think had more to do with that just primary wound of when you're like, my own parents don't love me. Like I was sent away as a kid to live with my aunts. Like you're kind of like, I must be wrong. And it's too psychologically annihilating to think my parents are crazy. You can't handle it. So it must be me. And I have to work so hard to get attention. I have to work so hard to get love. I must just be useless. And my accomplishments are what is, valuable about me. And then later after getting into program, I learned that like in order to build self-esteem, you have to engage in esteemable actions, which is like service to people without keeping score, without manipulating, without trying to make them like you, with clean motives. And that's when I think I started building like actual self-esteem.
Al-Anon seems very, very, very interesting. It's
brain school. It's just like it's
the therapy I've never connected to, but the Al-Anon seems interesting.
It's okay. So Al-Anon, first of all, it's free medicine. It's free, number one. Number two, it is basically the ability to tolerate the discomfort of others, is one of the things that we learn instead of being, addicted to alcohol, drugs, whatever. It's people pleasing, the 3 M's, mothering, micromanaging, and martyring. Before you solve a problem, first make sure it's your problem. Like I do really well with these like aphorisms and stuff. And when you ended up being a parentified child and having to caretake your parents, either emotionally, literally, you end up thinking you have to caretake people and you waste a lot of time and energy caretaking adults, rescuing people, dating people you have to rescue, being, attracted to someone who's a victim, confusing love and pity, just all this like nonsense. So, once I realized like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Like we're all doing what we were programmed to do unless we actively deprogram ourselves. So it's kind of just like, it's a program, but I call it like a deprogram because you're just deprogramming the things that you learned in order to deal with, your family of origin. Like, Harville Hendrix, I don't know if you've ever read Getting the Love You Want, stupid name for an amazing book. He talks about how we're attracted to people with the negative qualities of our primary caretaker until we heal that shit, So I found myself just dating people that were my mom and dad remixed, And
then do you stay attracted to the person?
Because it was familiar. No, you have to like deal with it. You have to change your adrenaline addiction. You have to, I did something called meta practice with this guy, George Haas. He's amazing. And you sort of like go through just sort of rewiring your brain to, it's also, I love that you said that, love addiction is way more common than we talk about. And like also just in our society, like the way that we have managed to have these like toxic synonyms for like butterflies, like a pit in your stomach is butterflies. It's passion. It's like, no, it's your body saying, get away from this person. Like this is scary. There's something off about this, and we now take a pit in your stomach. That's how disconnected we are from our intuition as like love, like soulmate. Like you shouldn't be nervous meeting someone, but usually when you walk into a room and you just vibrate at a different frequency of someone, we call them Christmas trees, when you're just like like I used to be able to walk in a room that was broken, recently separated, breathe tattoo, V-neck, Eagles jersey.
Penis down the leg.
Yeah.
Popping out of his cup.
Penis down the leg. I hate you. Person. And you're just like, boom. And then we have good we call it chemistry, but actually it's just familiarity, toxic familiarity, So it took me a long time. Like part of what I go to and program for is like to be okay with being a little bored in a relationship. It shouldn't be this like high octane because that's just addiction, So
the word bored scares a lot of people who love chaos. It's a scary word.
And I was sort of told by, my sponsor once, like, it's like, she was like, oh, what you think is boredom is actually just serenity. My tolerance for chaos was so high that if there wasn't like an active fight or there was, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm bored,
She rebranded it for you.
Yes. I was like, oh, yeah, words are a big deal to me. Like, I don't say that's not healthy. I say like, that's not helpful, because that's like pathologizing and judgmental. There's a lot of things that you sort of learn in program of like the way that you talk about yourself, to not cast a negative spell by saying like, well, because I'm crazy and I'm such an idiot. And I'm, like.
I don't want to sound sexist saying this, but
let's go.
I have 2 sisters. I've been married a long time. And I've heard.
Wait, you have 2 sisters? You've been married a long time?
I've been 2 sisters.
Sister
been married
wives?
A long time. No. But
he wishes.
Yeah. But I've heard some women say like, men like the drama or they like the crazy, and I'm like, I think maybe there's like periods we do, but I don't know a lot of people.
You do like a little drama.
Some men do.
Come on, you like a little drama.
Yeah, for periods.
I don't think they like it. I think it's a subconscious attraction that they probably don't get to choose.
But but most of the long-term relationships, it's like, I mean, at some point, it's like, you got to kind of.
You like a little match that I throw sometimes and walk away.
But you tell yourself that. I'm like, like maybe like a little, but not all the time.
You like a little zing and then pass the ketchup. You like it sometimes.
No, sometimes I'm just like, okay.
But that's not drama. That's like charming. Yeah, like, right? That's just
thing.
flirting.
No,
and
it's not
that's
big
just
drama.
keeping
It's not big
things
drama.
spicy.
But if I
and
see
fun.
my sisters dating that way and like behaving that way, I'm like, hey, that's not gonna end well for you.
No, but there's just, and something that helps me in program is like, we just have to give people the dignity of their own experience, and we can't save people from themselves. Like they have to learn for themselves, unfortunately.
It is hard though, when you start learning all these tools that you're learning to not want, I find this hard in my own life to not preach, maybe. Like, I get like, sometimes I'm like, I need to like stop.
Yeah. Because you want to be an evangelist. Like you want everyone to be as happy as you. It's like when you find your person and you start setting everybody up.
Yeah. It's like hard not to share. What are the other sort of like wellness, health, maybe like self-care guides, people that you look to, meditation, things that you do?
We have a mutual friend in the Coniver, so we know you know your shit on this stuff.
Dr. Conover is my guy. Dr. Craig Conover, Kelly Conover does my Ulthera on my face.
She's the best.
Yeah. So couple things. I'm feeling overwhelmed, so I'm just going to break this down into bite-sized pieces, and this might not be perfect.
Why are you overwhelmed?
Because of the wellness thing. Well, this is
so much.
What's that?
Because there's so much.
It's a lot.
Good. I want every.
It's a lot, but it's also kind of simple. And
We're ready. I'm gonna tuck in.
I was dealing 10 years ago with like adrenal fatigue. I had costochondritis in my chest from like not breathing properly, like inflammation in my cartilage of my chest. Like was septic from like drinking juices all the time. Like because of the, I'm not going to say the brand, but you probably know it. Whatever. I was always sick. I used to have really debilitating migraines. A lot of it was the stress from my parents being sick and just the chaos of my family, and not taking care of myself. I did have pretty severe eating disorders when I was a teenager. That runs in my family pretty wild. I ate like sugar-free Smucker's jelly for like a year. Y'all say to fast. I was fasting, and maybe it worked because I was fasting like before anybody. I don't know. I'm kind of like, maybe that that ended up being healthy in some weird way, but a lot of disordered eating for a long time. And so, after going to program, ACA Al-Anon, doing a lot of like inner child work, like my self-care stuff is like the sleep. I don't not sleep. I don't. I used to kind of glamorize not sleeping. I had really bad insomnia stuff, which, by the way, it's so funny to me that all these like high performing like podcasters are like men just get $8 million for being like, you need to sleep 8 hours. It's like, bitch, I think we know. So I'm not gonna, you guys know that, we know, we got it. We
just had a sleep expert on the show, Matthew Walker, who's pretty good actually.
We know, Matthew. Everyone knows you have to sleep 8 hours. This isn't new information. If you cut this out, I will sue Dear Media. You silenced a woman.
We don't cut
that
things
actually is good headline. Whitney Cummings sues Dear Media.
I just like, you talk about it so much, it has put me to sleep, so thank you.
We just met, but maybe we could start a
Why
relationship
are
with a
we
lawsuit.
pretending like no one knows we're supposed to sleep?
By the way, I like 9 hours instead of 8. I'm just
love
saying.
you for that.
I like 9.
Love you. I mean, that's clinical depression, but so for me, sleep is big. I think a lot of people think like comedian, busy, you probably don't sleep. Like I'm a psycho about sleeping. After being pregnant, I really kind of changed the way that I look at my body and in eating. I'm very simple with the way I eat now. I don't like to think about food. So I kind of just, I don't do tap water. I just do meat, eggs, sourdough bread, and butter. Like
oh my God, we have the same diet.
Are we the same person?
It's the same exact
animal?
diet. Same.
I just,
Little crunchy salt on the sourdough.
Whatever my like high functioning autism is like, I don't like too many options.
I'm same way.
Decision fatigue is like a big thing for me. So I break the days down into like energy dollars, and I don't want to spend my energy dollars on being like, what should I eat? I just kind of eat the same thing all the time. Fine. Works for me. I do. Okay. I know there's a lot about NAD and NMN and all this. What worked for me was, this was Dr. Conover recommended this to me years ago, and I ignored him like an idiot. And it's called True Niagen, and it's an NAD booster. And that completely it helps with like cellular energy. There's also
it's not the IV. It's not
there is a Niagen infusion.
I can't do the IV, so what can I do?
But
I can't do an IV.
You're thinking NAD. There's an NAD IV, which I was like, nope, not doing this, because I think there are a lot of things, and I know you're a cold plunge person. I'm happy for you, not for me, because I love sauna. I'm like a hardcore sauna has really helped change my skin.
Infrared or barrel?
Big fat, hot.
Infrared.
Hot
or the barrel.
Air.
The barrel.
Infrared is too much. You have to get way too much of it, I feel like, for it to work.
Yeah, she's saying she likes the barrel.
I don't have time. It's like, here's my,
The one with the coals or without the coals?
Coals.
Yeah, okay. Barrel.
Coals. But the infrared thing, who has time for this whole thing where all these high performers like, I'm going to live forever, but this is your life. All you do is sauna and cold plunge and fucking get into ketosis and just you stink. Like you're fat, you're starving for no one. I'd like to enjoy myself a little bit too, and maybe not live forever. Like this motherfucker who's like taking his son's blood to like be
Brian,
younger.
He's been on the show. We had Lauren hosted a dinner with him.
You guys have got to.
Next time you're coming to the dinner, we will change your mind.
I would love to. Well, I have thoughts for all these people.
It's a Jeffersonian style dinner. You go around. It's actually you'll like it.
Okay,
next time,
but I'm just saying. There's.
We'll bring you. We'll bring Robert Green.
Wait, I want to go back to the NAD.
The NAD, right? So True Niagen. Okay. I got pregnant naturally at 40 years old. I mean, at a time where infertility is like, I mean, I don't know. The frogs are gay and taints are shrinking. Babies' taints are shrinking. I don't know. Love you, Joe Rogan. He has which, by the way, can we not? Like, what are we? I love how we just like throw out these studies and we don't like go like, whoa. Who did this study and why? Who's measuring the baby?
They did it.
By the way, who, the non-binary scientist? It's like, they're like, no. 100 years ago, babies' taints were this big, and now they're this big.
Everything said on a podcast is a fact. Don't.
So you were measuring taints this whole time? You just have a database of it's like the statistic that drives. The statistics that drive me nuts. The one like women mature faster than men, girls mature faster. Like what pedophile was like, we need to prove that 18-year-olds are mature enough to date 35-year-old men. Yuck, dude. No. The answer is no. So here's the thing with all these studies, like we got to chill on like everyone throwing out these studies. Like, it's all white people. It's usually people at universities. It's usually students. I used to do studies. When I first moved to LA, I was broke as hell and I would do studies. It would be like, UCLA, like, are you depressed? I'm like, probably. Like, if I wasn't before, I will be by the time I go to UCLA to get $50 for a study to pretend I'm depressed. Like, I'm definitely depressed now, and I would lie in the study because the more they'll keep you in longer and they'll pay you more.
Well, I also get to your point. You got to wonder who's participating in these studies. A bit of a
you
bias.
know who it is. We know. It's like college students that are on fentanyl. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So studies, I used to do studies for products and stuff. You get $50 cash. It was me and a bunch of like shaky meth addicts. So you get $50. I did it for, I probably shouldn't say the brands, but like skin ones and stuff like that. And I would show up. And if you were good in the study, they would bring you back for more studies. So I would always be like, well, here's the thing about the hair and and I would just make shit up. And by the way, studies, here's another thing, is that it's kind of a group of people. Like, it's like 12 people that are kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, and you would get to know them.
You kind of agree with every.
Well, no, you just know them. There's like
it's like a jury.
It's like this ragtag group of, the bad news bears. And we're just going from study to study. And like someone would be like, yeah, it made me drowsy. I'm like, no, Jocelyn's always drowsy, dude. Like, it's not because of the pill. Like, I've seen her at Starbucks between studies. Like, she's always like a little sleepy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so take it all with a grain of salt.
Okay, so the NAD. I need to go back to the NAD and then I need the whole list. Okay.
It's changed my life. I got pregnant naturally at 40.
Is it an injection?
Okay, so you can do it in pill form.
Okay.
And then you can also do Niagen infusion, which is not uncomfortable. You can't do needles.
I can't do IV.
She do needles, not
Why
IV.
not?
She doesn't like IV.
I feel like
you gave birth to 2 children?
I'd rather give birth than do a needle.
But why? My dude is like this. But how?
There's a vascovagal. I forgot how you say it.
But you pass out too?
The pill.
She passes out. Yeah, she
Let
passes
me see
out.
the pill.
Hold on. What do you mean?
Can I just take it right now?
Yeah, you probably could. It'll give you like a wild amount of energy, though.
Oh, yes.
No, don't give it to her. Please don't
give it to Michael, too.
No,
I do. So I do True Niagen. This is, by the way.
Can I take one? How many do I take or 2?
2. Take 2. Like,
Let me see this.
Dr. Conover does a patch of it, but
no,
this,
I want to see it first.
Take it.
I just want to see it.
This I am completely obsessed with. Sports cellular energy. I hope I'm saying all of this right. I don't want to get in trouble. Has totally changed my life. Like, I was dealing with sort of postpartum, like super low energy. Like, that got me back. I took it while I was pregnant.
Is it because it's NAD?
NAD, it causes...
So does this increase the NAD production naturally in your body?
Yes, which is the thing that we lose over time, right?
Well, if you just said it that way, I would have been like, oh, got it.
Okay, well, sorry, I'm not a man that knows everything. I'm just a dumb lady. I'm just a dumb lady. Hold on, let me take my Alpha Brain so I can get through this interview without you...
What's the Alpha Brain?
This is Joe Rogan's thing.
It's on it.
Yeah, Joe Rogan's my friend, and it's probably mushrooms, and I don't know what's in here.
Is it intimidating going on Joe Rogan's podcast? Or are you just used to it because you guys are friends?
It's kind of tricky because it's like going on Howard Stern used to be very intimidating. But
I used to love when you went on Stern.
Oh, really? Thank you.
I used to listen to him all the time because I drove back and forth between Arizona and school.
I bet you're great on Stern.
I listen all the time.
Oh, really? I feel like I was like unhinged on there. I was always so...
No, but he loves you.
That's so nice. Thank you. Here's the thing about Howard is like, okay, I might not be funny. I might not be like, but at least I'm going to be authentic. And I would always like go on there and like cry and shit. And I was just like, why is this happening? But thank you for saying that. Rogan, it's more like, to me, it's the opposite. I've known him for so long and he feels like such a friend. And when you go in there, it's like, I'm not going to like tap dance because you know me. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather be boring to his 50 million listeners than him think I'm like being corny, so it's kind of this tricky thing.
Howard, I feel like you almost kind of like, you kind of have to do the tap dance. It feels like an environment where you're...
A little bit. I usually come in with like roast jokes. I'll come in with like a couple stories. I'll come in with like,
Okay, so go back to your wellness routine. I'm not done. I know that there's all these things you do. So the Alpha Brain you take every day?
I'll take it before something where I have to use my brain a little bit. I'll take creatine too. I know you're super into that.
I like creatine.
But this and the Niagen IVs, which we can fit. I mean, can you just put numbing cream on or something?
So you think that I should really do it? It's that good.
It is. I mean, I don't know what I was doing before. Like, I don't know what I was doing before.
Do you do it? So she makes you do it.
Love it. It's. Okay, I mean, but I also look, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble if I say it, but again, I got pregnant naturally at 40 years old. And Dr. Amy, who works with them, this fertility expert, prescribes it as a part, like their fertility protocol.
Wow.
Interesting.
What else? Any other wellness things?
Yeah, so I do a couple pills that I'm not going to be able to tell you what they are.
Okay.
Andrew Huberman is our friend, and he just tells me what to take, and I take it. NAC, SAME, same. I'll do. Right?
I don't know that
These
one.
things. I'll do iron sometimes. What else do I do?
Are you saying you're taking these based on like the labs that you have, and they're saying, okay, like you should take these ones, or you're just saying that there's certain things that...
Andrew Huberman told me to. What more?
People should get like a "What would Jesus do" bracelet. Andrew Huberman told me to, because I feel like that so many people are just like, you know what, we're in for the Huberman
tell me to
protocol.
stop. He's like, stop taking turmeric or you're going to get prostate cancer or something like that. And I stopped. I was scared. I feel like I don't know.
But
if that's
also
true or not.
turmeric, it's dumb and you know it.
Yeah.
But
It's dumb.
I just stopped.
Yeah, and
It's
he would be
it's
like, every
silly.
time he took it, he'd be like, I'm taking my turmeric.
It's been a long time.
Like, what are we doing? Like, can we be adults about this?
Is there any other beauty?
Yes, I'm
health?
coming.
Well,
I'm-
I need
You're
you to-
overwhelming. I'm
I know,
overwhelmed.
Sorry.
I'm overwhelmed.
It's a lot of stimulus in here.
So, okay. So there's more. Okay. So sometimes I'll do peptides. I've been a little inconsistent as of late, but Dr. Conover gives me the peptides that are the BPC something. I also take metformin, which I'm sure is polarizing to people. See in the comments, but it's that diabetes medication where people that took it had in the studies.
Why did you start taking it? Like,
Because
what was
Dr. David Sinclair talked about it in Lifespan. I had him on the podcast a couple times.
That's really
and
okay.
yeah, and he the way to reverse the resveratrol thing, I don't know about anymore, but I'm like not the person that's like, grapes are gonna save us. Like it doesn't feel true. You know what I mean? I just don't buy
So what does metformin do? It helps with insulin resistance?
Maybe, I don't know. What I do know, I don't know if this is the same thing, but you process, it's for diabetics, so you don't process sugar the same way. So in cancer eats sugar, it's better, your skin. I think my skin looks better than it was before I was taking it. I stopped getting Botox because for a lot of reasons, and supports skin health, and basically you're just not processing sugar the same way.
A lot of people have stopped getting Botox. Is that a decision that you made just because you're a mother now? What's the reason?
I just was attracting pedophiles. And I think, look, I was sort of prescribed by like a network television person to get Botox when I was on a TV show. And I was just like, okay, like I was very young. It's in my forehead. And then I look back and I'm just like, could all of my failed relationships be because I couldn't communicate with micro expressions? Like, I have gone through life being like, nobody understands me. I thought I was being clear when I said that, but like, why does everyone think I'm a bitch? And now that I stop getting Botox and like I communicate so much better, I'm in this amazing relationship. I was like, could that have been it? I mean, between birth control, which hot take, I know, messes up who you're attracted to, and then Botox, and you can't even communicate with the person.
You're giving us all the
Birth
sound bites for
control
TikTok.
is going to, I think, be something that we look back on like cigarettes. Birth control pills.
Yeah, maybe.
And I'm hearing so much shit off air, on air about birth control.
I'm
and
not
all the
touching
shit.
this fucking topic with a 10-foot pole.
It's tricky because of this. You have a 10-foot pole. Easy. I think that it's tricky because, I think a lot of people listening are like, but our reproductive rights are being taken away, whatever. But, I'll just speak for myself, which is that, birth control. I talked about this in my third special, my HBO special. It makes your body think it's pregnant. So you smell pheromones differently. So you're attracted to a different kind of man when you're pregnant than when you're not pregnant. So they say that if you're taking birth control and you get engaged, make sure to go off it for a year and see you're still attracted to that person, So women
this makes so much
I
sense
got you when you were
now.
on it. I got
No,
you.
you
It's
got
too
me.
early.
women that are on birth control are attracted to more feminized faces, stuff like that.
Listen, I already anchor babied you twice, so you're stuck.
What's anchor baby?
I mean, I got her pregnant twice. She's stuck now.
Yeah,
She's
but you
lost
never
it.
know. I could change my mind. I change my mind all the time. So be careful. You
How
never
long
know.
have you two been together?
Uh-huh.
We've known each other since we were 12
Wow.
years old, and we
Since we're 20.
fucked around from 12 to 15, and then we got back together later when we were in college, way later.
Cute.
Yeah, it's been
It's
a
long
journey.
time. But we've known each other for 25 years. It's a long time.
So it seems like you feel like now this is a really healthy relationship. He gives off really good frequency, by the way.
Ooh.
You give off a good frequency. I think I tell Michael I'm a clairvoyant with that, and there's like a frequency that you give off that's calm.
It's very calm.
Yeah.
calm and calming.
It's a good mix.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that like we'll talk about in a second, like the energy conservation stuff, being in a good relationship is the ultimate energy conservation, the life hack, Wait, can we just go back to the pill? What was it before that? And then we'll get to the famous skateboarder who wants to steal my thunder.
Yeah.
What is it? Birth control. Okay, birth control, going off birth control. Okay, Botox. So
tell me.
I get pregnant and, I'm like 4 months pregnant and I'm like, oh God, like what's happening? And I go to my dermatologist and I'm like, I need, can I just get a little Botox? And he's like, oh, well, you're pregnant. You can't get it. And I was like, that's what the placenta's for. It's fine. And he was like, no, there's something, it's called gray baby syndrome, where sometimes women that get Botox, the baby comes out gray. And I was like, okay, but just like if we could just get like just a touch here. And he's like, no, you can't. And I'm like, okay, fine. And then I just liked, I almost think like wrinkles are a sign of youth at this point, like it was nice to just see my face again and just be able to, have micro expressions. Like I definitely want people to know when I'm in a good mood or a bad mood. It's healthy. And now I have a baby and I don't want my baby to like not be able to attune to me because I'm just,
That's
robot.
Interesting that you say that about Botox because I kind of have the same thought on filler too. It's filler. If you overfill your face, you look older.
Yeah.
Like you just do because it looks like you can almost afford a bunch of filler, which is older.
That's such an interesting like way to look at it.
I also have this other theory. This is off on a tangent. That's the subconsciousness. I think that when you wear so much jewelry, like tons of jewelry, you look older because it feels like you can afford it or your husband has cheated on you a bunch of times. So you have a bunch of bracelets.
That's really funny.
When people wear bracelets up their arm to hear it's like, how many times did he cheat?
Also, you don't shower. Like, how do you have this? How do you have the kind of time?
It's a lot. It just feels like
how much attention do you need?
Let's break it down. A lot of jewelry makes you look older.
I look at it as like when you see a really, really young guy in a really, really expensive car. It just looks like the signal it gives off to me is like, oh,
bad news.
Your dad bought it for you or something.
Of course,
right?
Well, it's like my thing of when a guy's in like insane shape physically. I'm just like, oh, you're unemployed. Like
or you're bored.
Yeah, you have this kind of time to do, you know what I mean?
That's what you thought about me when you came in?
I mean, you're very in shape, but you're not ridiculous.
I got a little.
What?
Little fluff.
That's good.
I like a little fluff.
I like a little fluff.
A hard body is just
it's too much.
Disgusting.
I already told you this. See,
so we don't want that.
Whitney Cummings agrees with me.
I only want to be able to carry my kids' strollers and shit around.
That's my thing. I just want to be strong to be able to like,
Okay, so Chris.
But hold on. There's more self-care.
Oh, sorry, Chris.
The skin is a whole ass thing, but we can get...
No, we got to get into skin first. You got to tell us about the skin because that's the first thing that I noticed about you when I met you is your skin. You have beautiful skin.
That's very nice. Thank you, as do you.
And it's not easy to have beautiful skin. You have to work at it.
Yeah, so I'll just say everything. People ask me a lot about this and I get overwhelmed. So I think the best place to do it is your podcast. Obviously, you talk about it so much and your fans are into it. So I read a book when I was 21 called The Wrinkle Cure by Dr. Perricone. By some weird miracle. Someone told me about it. My mom worked in fashion. She worked at Neiman Marcus and Bloomingdale's. I grew up at cosmetics counters. They were my toys. She was very vain. She had all the La Prairie and the Lancome and all this stuff. Like I was obsessed with skincare at a very young age. But I was doing it all wrong. Also, I'm a horse person and I grew up like, taking care of saddles. And leather, you never want it to be in the sun and you never want to let water touch it and it always should have oil on it. And it's skin, right? So I always just like treated my skin the way I would treat a saddle or a piece of leather. Same thing, right? So when I washed my face, I never washed my face and let it dry. I would put oil all over my face and then exfoliate or use the gloves or whatever and then get out of the shower and then hydrate. So I never let my face like be just water and air. I did go on Accutane when I was in high school and then again later. Just feel the need to say that because I used to get really bad cystic zits. And that I think dried out my skin a lot. But I also learned later that, we always go like, don't put oil on your face. But like actually what happens is that, oil, the production of oil is what makes these cystic zits. I know it's genetic, as well. But when you put oil on your skin, your oil glands stop needing to produce as much. right? So you actually stop breaking out, even though it's very anathema to like what you would think you would do. So I learned all that. I read The Wrinkle Cure by Dr. Perricone. He's got a line of cosmetics I do not use. They're overpriced, trash. I'll say it, don't care. Promo code Whitney. Promo code Dear Media. And
Don't drag us into this.
I'm not paying. If stress is the worst thing for your skin, I'm not going to spend $180 for an eye cream. Like that undoes the whole point of it being anti-aging. But DMAE, alpha-lipoic acid, and DMAE were the things that were found to, be good for the skin. I found a serum, and I sometimes make it myself of those things, and I've been using it since I was like 21. And then also eating blueberries, salmon, and cantaloupe.
Why cantaloupe?
Don't know.
Wait, you should do your own serum.
I know, I want to.
Why don't you do your own?
I was going to because I make my own. It's and then I do grapeseed oil and tomato seed oil, and then I do the derma roller probably like every other day.
You should do your own. I feel like people would go crazy for that. I think it would shock you how crazy they would go.
Yeah, people. That's the thing I get asked most about because
she's like when we met you in Texas briefly. The first thing she said to me was like, "Wow, great, like amazing."
Beautiful.
She doesn't say that about everybody.
Oh gosh, that's so nice. I also sleep on my back only.
Ew, I would never dare sleep on my side. Agreed.
Oh yes, I mean, but also when you're applying your product, people pull down. Oh. You have to push up only up, only. Obviously. I've sort of chilled with the sunscreen a little bit. I used to go hardcore with it. I think a lot of it is poison unless you want to do a paid partnership with me, in which case you are amazing and I only use that product. But I do now the Supergoop. It's like a mineral powder and it's just a powder that I do.
And do you stay out of the sun a lot?
Not as much anymore. I think again, like, the stress of trying to not do something that's bad for you is sometimes as bad for you.
Yeah.
So, I remember this woman came to my house and she comes and tells you everything in your house that's killing you, like the cleaners and the carpet and the formaldehyde is in decaf coffee and all the things. And I was like, what do I do if I'm like in the airport and there's no healthy food? And she's like, just have a burger, like just literally go to McDonald's. It's better for you than being like, I can't find anybody. I need some kale. I need some
Who is this woman?
I will give you the name after because it's escaping me. But she is very worth talking about. Actually, she got into all this because she had a Botox addiction, which is fascinating. And then she wanted to undo. I don't know the ramifications of Botox. Like, also one thing I will say is that the person that sold me on getting Botox the first time said it's preventative. So maybe the preventative worked. Like I'm the first to say that like I
maybe
did.
It froze you in place for a long time.
I just mean like, like the wrinkles might be, I might look like fucking Whistler's mother.
I got the fucking Grand Canyon up here.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. But like, so I'm also the first to say maybe that it's impossible to tell if it benefited me in terms of that. But I also do Althera. Once a year, which is a laser.
Okay. Do you like that?
I've heard
a lot of good things.
I don't know. Here's the other thing. It's impossible to isolate the variables. Could it be the fact that I'm doing sauna? Could it be the fact that I sleep a lot? Could it be genetic? Could it be the Althera?
But when you go to Kelly Conover, you do the Althera. That's what you do.
Yes.
The Skinny Confidential Him and Her podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp has been a long-term partner of this show, and it's because Lauren and I are huge believers in platforms like online therapy and just therapy in general. We have done over 700 episodes of this podcast, and one of the common denominators that we see in many of the high-performing guests and entrepreneurs and authors and people that come on this show is that many of them have used therapy as a tool in their arsenal of tools to live a better, healthier life. Therapy has been shown to be such a huge benefit for people that are looking to perform, feel better, and just share things and get them off their chest. Sharing your ideas is also an incredible way to help you reconnect with yourself, your sense of wonder, because your back to school era can come at any age. Just getting to know yourself better and talking through your ideas and just reconnecting with yourself can be so important. What we love about BetterHelp is not only is it all online from the comfort of your own home, but you get paired with licensed therapists and you can switch at any time for no additional charge. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. Like I said, it's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And again, you can switch at any time for no additional charge. So give BetterHelp a try. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/skinny today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/skinny. BetterHelp.com/skinny.
Jackie Schimmel from the Bitch Bible introduced me to First Aid Beauty a long time ago. I want to say like 8 years ago. And I always was very into their products. They just know what they're doing whenever they launch product. They have a great lotion. They also have this new amazing product called the KP Bump Eraser Body Scrub. And if you're going to wear a dress or shorts or a tank top, this scrub is amazing. So how I have been using it is all dry brush before I get in the shower. I obviously use the Skinny Confidential dry brush. And then I'll get in the shower and I'll do like a full scrub situation. This is America's #1 specialty body scrub. And what it does is it just gets all the dead skin off. It's a physical and chemical exfoliant, and this is going to resurface the skin's top layer. I like to do this especially before I shave and especially before I spray tan, because it's really going to help improve the texture and smooth away bumps and roughness and like scaly areas. And before I spray tan, I like to be completely and utterly exfoliated head to toe. This one is specifically dermatologist tested and safe for sensitive skin. If you're looking for a way to just exfoliate everything, this is it. I love the way my skin looks and feels with First Aid Beauty's KP Bump Eraser Body Scrub, and I know that you guys will too. Right now we have a special offer just for our listeners. You get 20% off your first purchase, only when you order through our exclusive URL, firstaidbeauty.com/skinny, and use our promo code skinny. That's firstaidbeauty.com/skinny. Don't wait, order now to get 20% off with promo code skinny at firstaidbeauty.com/skinny. I take the health of my dogs very seriously. And when it comes to dog food, you guessed it, I want to feed my dogs real, fresh dog food. I also want it delivered to my door because I want to save time. And where I get their food is the farmer's dog. These recipes are developed by vet nutritionists. Everything is made from real meat and veggies. Everything is pre-portioned, which is amazing. So say goodbye to those like weird, creepy, burnt brown balls and feed your dog real food with real benefits. The thing that I've noticed about the farmer's dog food with my dogs is that because of the real high quality, fresh ingredients, my dog's weepy eyes have gone away. So Boone had super weepy eyes when he was eating other food. And since eating the farmer's dog, he does not have that. I think that if you're going to feed your dog every single day, it should be something that's really thoughtful and purposeful. And the farmer's dog sort of takes out all of the pain points. A healthy diet isn't just important for humans, it also is important for your pet. You could start anytime if your dog's old or young. We just started a couple years ago. It's been a game changer, like I said, for those weepy eyes. Get 50% off your first box of fresh, healthy food at thefarmersdog.com/skinny. Plus, you guys get free shipping. Go to thefarmersdog.com/skinny to get 50% off. That's thefarmersdog.com/skinny. Have you tried salmon semen on your face yet?
You know what? I have it at home. It's hard to get.
It is?
Yeah. I mean, maybe not for you.
No. I don't know. I do it in Austin, so I don't know if it's hard to get in LA.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think there's this one, Joan Dangerfield, Rodney Dangerfield's widow is a good friend of mine, and she got me a bunch of it. And I tend to think topical stuff isn't that effective. How could it be unless it's like acidic or something? But so I tried the capsules and it annoyed me. But if you're using it, I'll start. I do the microneedling, before I put my product on.
Exosomes? Why do you always call them semen? Isn't it just the exosomes?
I prefer salmon semen.
What's an exosome?
I think that's like
exactly. We know what salmon semen is.
Mansplain me.
I don't know to mansplain. I thought it's called exosomes that you put on your face, but it's extracted from the...
She doesn't know. No one knows what an exosome is.
Either do I, but it just sounds like...
I just tried to explain NAD. I mean, the bar is low for...
Michael's going to explain what an exosome is. Michael?
No, I don't know. I said, isn't that what's going on? You'll say, like, I got salmon jizz on my face. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Do you do the derma roller and then you do it?
That's what I like. I like the microneedling and then it going into my skin.
Yeah, because, I mean, we have so much dead skin on our face that most of our product doesn't even get to we just put it over dead skin and it doesn't absorb anyway. So I do the microneedling.
The microneedling works.
Mm-hmm, agree.
Everyone whose skin I like, microneedle.
You should listen to what Whitney was saying about not being neurotic, because Lauren will get in one of those cars with like a Christmas tree hanging and she'll act like she's like getting killed.
What do you mean?
Like she can't handle like the smells or the parabens from like
colored Christmas tree from
Yeah.
1990 from the gas station that smells like fake cherry.
Mhm.
I don't want to sit in a car that smells like that. I just don't. I
She
want to
would be-
I'll roll the window down. I mean,
So I don't touch receipts anymore.
thank you.
Fine,
I don't
fine.
touch receipts.
She's like me.
Yeah, I don't.
Fine.
But I'm not. I saw that fridge out there. I don't do oat milk. I don't do almond milk.
No,
I don't
I
do
do raw
whatever
milk.
just was happening in your fridge.
No, I don't
was
do that.
appalled. Okay.
First of all, that's not my choices.
know
My
what?
choices would be a cow.
Okay, good. I'm just saying that's like some GMO nonsense.
If there was one thing that I could get under control in this business, Taylor, I don't know what you guys are doing for snacks in this
the
office.
snacks in this office?
You should see Texas. Texas, like it's like we got a fucking meat locker over there. I don't know what's going on
it's
here.
just but anyway, but I think it took me. I ate so much artificial shit. I mean, like I'm probably embalmed, frankly. Like I ate equal in aspartame for truly 15
Well,
years.
Smucker's jelly's intense.
Oh yeah, no, I'm embalmed. Like I definitely did so many chemicals for so long, and I was such a zombie. But yeah, now I kind of try to stick to like real food.
You
Let me tell
probably
you-
feel amazing though now that you made such a drastic switch.
Yeah, I mean, also a lot of it is the internal stuff too. You know, my
Yeah.
parents passed, and with that, a lot of anxiety and stress and shame and guilt passed. You know, guilt will get you. Guilt will age you. Friendships will age you. Bad relationships will age you. And I was doing a lot of things that were aging me. One thing I will just say really quick, since we're doing tangents anyway, is a part of my self-awareness stuff was working with horses. I grew up with them, so it's not like I'm some, rich, like,
like training them or
Serena
riding or
who
like
was the-
competitive riding?
No,
or,
no, that's not for me. I grew up with horses like on a farm,
They're
and
grounding.
yeah, I had such a hard time understanding adults because I grew up with drunks and liars and people that were like, "No, I'm fine, everything's fine," but your gut's like, "You don't seem fine." It was just confusing, like the way someone said something was incongruous with how they were saying it. But horses, prey animals, aren't confusing. They're very direct. They're very clear. They're not codependent. So I spent most of my time with them, and as an adult now, I rescue horses and I do something called liberty training with horses. That really helps you be self-aware because they're a mirror to your energy. And everybody right now is like, did I do this on twice the speed? I'm just trying to like blow through this. But horses, like, they tell you if your energy is bad or anxious or neurotic, because when you're kind of like, no, I'm fine, everything's good, but you're giving off this like neurotic. It's what you're talking about with the clairvoyant thing.
Have you brought him around the horses?
Yeah, of
That's
course.
what you got to do. That's how if I had a horse to gauge a guy, that's the hot tip. You bring the guy
This is
around
my
the
guy.
horse. Yeah,
He's right there.
Who did that tattoo? That's a good tattoo.
Dr. Wu.
Oh, he did all my tattoos.
Oh, nice. No
But
way.
Different styles though, but yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That back when he was a Shamrock?
Yeah, with Mark Mahoney.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
yeah,
Mark,
he did mine.
he doesn't have a tattoo
mean,
of me, but he has a
but-
tattoo of a
but you
coffin.
could.
that's you. You're in there.
That's for you, Lauren.
Mahoney did this one, and then Dr. Wu
That's
just did
right.
that
Do you know
one.
having a Mark Mahoney tattoo? Not to go on a tangent. That's like a,
This one and this one, yeah.
That's like a
I know.
because he's a legend.
He is a legend.
Yeah, he did different styles mostly for me.
I love that.
Waiting
I would
for
not
the-
have thought that was Dr. Wu.
Yeah, like he did this.
That looks like Freddie Negretti.
Yeah. Well, because I love his detail, obviously, but I wanted him to do more like traditional.
That's why. So you can ask that.
He did every single one.
How
on my
long ago
body.
was that?
2013, 14.
Okay.
Long
He
time
does such
before
fine line
before
now.
he was over in his spot.
Yeah, Roosevelt.
Yeah, my buddy Weston actually helped him build out that spot.
I have
cool.
to ask you about your tattooed boyfriend, Chris.
Please.
So our producer freaked out when Chris walked in.
Mhm.
Absolutely lost his shit.
Yeah, your producer just came out of the closet, like right there.
My producer's always
literally
coming. He
came
jacks off
almost.
4 times a day. We have to manage it and work it into the schedule. The only person he's ever freaked out and wanted to take a picture with on this show is Chris and
Chris,
a
you wanna
porn
come here?
star.
Just because if you talk, it's not going to come up on the
come say
thing.
hi. We want to.
I mean, don't outshine me, but just be near a mic.
Don't outshine the master.
It's just a double Virgo thing. I don't.
I like how you positioned me.
Well, because when you were over there
It's like-
talking, I was like, he's not. I
Like
mean,
we're
I'm.
gonna
You
do-
guys are really
like we're gonna do a
cute.
clay class.
You guys are really, really cute.
I know it's weird.
It's really cute.
We
real.
we
We were
literally
talking about it in
just
the
we
lobby.
talked about that 20 minutes ago about doing pottery together with one thing.
That's like Ghost.
Yeah, we.
It's very Ghost. Yeah.
Yeah. I
You've
feel like
never
I'm
done
dead.
pottery with me?
Don't make this about me. It's about them. I know.
Okay,
Do
so
you guys have like things you do, like date night or?
yeah, we do Pilates together.
We just do this
weightlift
podcast
together.
all day.
Yeah, totally.
We like to work out every single day together.
Okay, we
Oh,
try
that's
that.
We have stuff
Our
that we
life together
we
when
read
we're
together.
not doing this stuff is actually like
It's
pretty
boring.
boring. It's like a home together.
Now I want to
a
get with
lot,
horses.
kids.
That's
though.
good.
Oh yeah. Oh no,
That's
I
great.
got you on
How
that
did you
front.
guys meet?
Want to take it?
No,
No,
I don't.
she wants your perspective, your explanation.
So she made a joke on Instagram on her story.
Wait, okay, so he used to follow my stories.
Wait, you can't tell the story?
I got this. Well, here's the thing. I
that.
love him. He just goes straight to the middle. It's like there's a beginning,
Oh,
a middle.
you know what? That drives me nuts too.
I do that too, Chris.
Lauren doesn't know how to tell a story. She just goes beginning and end.
No. I know how to tell a story. Okay,
Well, let's see if she'll let you.
But I would see him on, like, you know when you can see who's watching your stories?
Yeah.
And I would see, it always stood out to me because his photo, if you guys want to get attention from a girl on social,
Let's see this photo.
make it black and white. Make your profile, because you see all this color, and his was black and white, and it was just this
black and white headshot that
sweet
Mike
face.
What's the
Boyback
Instagram?
shot. Chris Cobra Cole. And I just have a white background, and Mike Boyback shot the photo. And so it's just
so I would like
shoulders up.
see him, and I'd be like, ugh, like I did, like it would register, but I didn't know who it was. So you were watching my stories for a long time.
Yeah, totally.
And then I did a story somewhere where you had seen me on Raya. Just give the backstory.
Okay, so I had seen her on the dating app Raya and liked her a bunch of times, but she never liked me back.
I don't do professional athletes.
And she always said on like her stories and podcasts and stuff that she doesn't date professional athletes. I thought that was kind of funny. She posted this woman who was
What
kind
does
of
it say
like,
about you that you're like, I'm going to get her?
Well,
she does not want to date me.
what's even funnier about that is that never registered until you pointed it out. Like, what does that say about you? I was like, oh, I never even thought about it.
Okay.
Like, I knew that you said that and just didn't think it applied to me or something.
I just love that you're like, yeah, but I'm me.
Yeah, like I didn't even apply to me. Like, it's not like vain. It's stupidity. So she posted this woman who would run and then stop and kind of like walk and
Who
then
was just,
run
like, on the
again. And then
street.
she
It was
turned around and started back.
You know
and
when
then
you see someone on their run
was-
make the U-turn?
It was so weird. Like
Okay.
it was a weird clip, and it was like me saying I'm never dating again, and then re-downloading Raya.
You know what I mean? Because you would
made
be
a
like, I'm
joke-
off, and then you're back.
And I made a joke about it because I would often go on Raya at almost like a oh, this is fun, and then do nothing with it, and then be like,
It's like a video game to
it's like a weird video game
to
that
feel like you're participating and trying.
Yeah.
right.
But you're kind of
That's exactly what it was.
It's killing your
and
soul.
then I'd be like, not on it forever because it was just some weird, like I'm swiping to see like what this person's song is gonna be, and
I'm
and
sure
so
the hot chicks were a
I
huge
made-
deterrent.
I made well, I
Put a
made.
rough
I go
place
to
to
Raya for the music. It's like I go to Playboy for the
Yeah, no, I
articles.
didn't mean to like pass it like that, but whatever. So I made a joke back to her, and then we started talking back and forth, and then she was like, you know what, here's my number, just text me because I don't want to have to like go on the app all the time, whatever. So I went to text her, and it turns out that I had texted her a year prior to that because I worked for Liquid Death, and I was trying to get Liquid Death sent to her house.
Trying to get me wet.
Right.
Wait. Did you not know you had texted her a year before?
No, I knew.
I just didn't respond. We had to like text it, whatever.
And this is, and fair enough. She goes, wait, let me look at that date. And then showed me her calendar from that date. And every single 15 minutes was taken up the whole entire day. It was like Jimmy Kimmel arrived, car service.
Yeah,
like,
that's
and it was
true.
just,
That's true.
it was
That's a
rifled
boss
down.
move.
But it
That's
also
a
wasn't the
boss
right
move.
time. We
You're like,
weren't.
hold on,
Fair
which
enough.
Today Show or Tonight
I
Show
know
was
you're
that?
like,
It was not
Joe Rogan or Huberman was I on this day?
Well, it was, we were not meant to be back then. But the short
totally.
story is we met on Instagram, and at a wild time, I was, 8 months pregnant. And I was just like, I'm into like he was just so, like to your point, I think men do tend to think I'm a little bit scary or something.
Yeah.
And what?
It's not that they think you're. It's a lot of men are intimidated by somebody who, both of you are like, you have such a
A point of view.
no, not just a point of view, just you.
A personality.
I think it's not
A bank account.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of things. I think it's
Self-respect.
Witty.
no. I think it's a lot of strength.
Compelling.
Dignity.
No.
I like what he
It's
said.
a lot of strength, and I think it's like a lot of guys are used to the dynamic where it's like they're the strong one.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about this, like a lot of my friends kind of be like, oh, I want a woman that's like got a career and is focused and like has their own
They
thing.
mean
and-
like who works at a flower
but then
shop.
they say, but also is nurturing and tender and all this. And I'm like, you're kind of asking for like everything in one bucket, and maybe
That's
some
a
of the
unicorn.
types of women you're asking for maybe don't have
But
some
if I
of those
may, women
tendencies.
are very lost too. Women,
Sure,
this
of course.
thing, they go home and they have to be like, what was that supposed to mean? And I don't cook and I don't clean. It's like, what do you do?
I'll give you give
So
you a
you're
better
just
perspective.
a hungry, filthy bitch.
A lot of guys grow up in a dynamic where the father was the breadwinner and the mother was at home. That's just like, times have changed. And all of a sudden you're dating a successful woman that is maybe doing more than you and bringing home more than you. And I think it does something to the power dynamic for that particular person that's not able to handle.
But think about
that
it. If
dynamic.
the woman is making all the money, you have all the power.
No, I
That's
love
what's
the
so
dynamic.
interesting
say,
to me.
I would be like, listen, I would love to just kick back,
His mother was
my mom worked my
very
whole life.
strong, like,
But
boss.
it's and I appreciate this conversation we can go a million ways with it. But I think that for me, like almost the more strong, successful I am in my professional life, the softer I get in my personal life. You know what I mean? Like in my personal life, I'm very beta. I do not want to be the predator. I do not want to be in charge. I do not want to be the
I'm
boss.
the same way.
Yeah,
Like it's like
I totally
he's
get
like,
that.
what do you want for dinner? And I'm like,
No, but what I'm saying is some men
I
can't
get
make
that.
peace.
And then also with I'm sure you're like this with your child. Like I've noticed I'm like totally soft with my kids
Of course.
compared to how I am.
Yeah, but I'm not even
Yeah,
commenting
at
that.
work.
I'm just saying some men can't make peace with not being the main breadwinner.
so it's more about money. Okay.
I just like it's the power thing. It's like a lot of men can't make peace with like if I'm dating you and you're going on the Tonight Show.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys can't make peace with the fact it's like you're.
But I do think I
you're getting
will
the
say
attention.
something.
Yeah.
I do think that each of you guys have your own lane and your own. You're very successful in your own right, so there's a confidence that comes along with that.
Sure.
I think what you're referring to is maybe a guy that doesn't have that independence and making his own money.
Well,
I think
it comes down to like, are you
that's where it
comfortable
becomes-
and confident in your own skin? And men and women, a lot of people just aren't.
And I think you're nailing it because to me, I think part of the reason that we click so hard is I realized that I needed somebody that had nothing to prove because I never want a man to feel emasculated. I don't get off on that. It's not hot to me. I never want to disrespect a man I'm in a relationship with. It makes it feel maternal and then it turns into incest. It kills the relationship. I want someone that I'm completely in awe of. I know that about myself. Like respect to me is the hottest thing. And I didn't realize that like in relationships, I would like make myself smaller, like minimize my accomplishments because I didn't want them to ever
That makes
be.
it worse though.
And I'm just being fake. And I mean, you're ultimately just being
That makes
a
it
liar.
worse because
and
they
it's
know.
Totally. So it's like to me, like, Chris like kind of has nothing to prove. And I had never experienced that. And then maybe for me, I subconsciously, because of my, unrecovered codependence at the time, attracted to people that were insecure that I could caretake and pity and try to fix and all that kind of stuff. And that just further demoralizes them, whatever. But I think to me, it's like power is such an interesting conversation because when people are like, well, she's so powerful, she makes the money and he doesn't. It's like, well, if you're making a lot of money and working a lot, you don't have as much power because you don't get to control your schedule. You're kind of like at the mercy of your crazy career. You're the alpha. I mean, I do lots of rescue stuff. And there's a place called Wolf Connection in Palmdale, and it's rescue wolves. A lot of psychopaths breed wolves with German Shepherds and fight them.
Whoa.
Or get wolves and fight them and have them in, you're in Texas. You guys have more tigers privately owned than Africa, huh? And bears, yeah, disgusting. And so, so exotic animal rescue is kind of like a big part of my life. And so they do these programs with kids where the kids will show up and there's all these rescue wolves that are in their, enclosures. And there's, 15, it's a pack of wolves, right? And, the first thing they ask is which one, to the kids, kids that use violence to solve problems, sexual assault survivors, kids that are struggling in school, whatever, high risk, at-risk youth, I don't know what you would say. And the first thing they ask is which wolf do you think is the alpha, right? They're looking at these like 15 wolves. One of them is digging, one of them is, eating, one of them is, circling, one is howling, one is sleeping, one is pissing, one is shitting, one is like barking, really loud at the other, one's like scared, and they say which one is the alpha. And they all answer. What do you think?
I think it's the one who's circling.
I think it's just the one that's probably just sitting back, relaxed.
Sleeping.
Oh, come on, you knew
It's a
this.
silly trick.
Look at his vulture on his arm.
It's a
Damn it, I should have said that.
Vultures help solve crimes. And so
Vultures are
crazy,
patient.
It's the one
insane
that's
red
sitting
flag to have a
back.
tattoo of it. But
That's interesting.
but there's
I
a great
should have
TED
known
talk
that.
about but you knew it. Like you knew it. I was intentionally tricky about it. You can cut that out. And so
We
the
don't cut
alpha
out.
sleeps. So when like like something I also love about Chris is like I can be running around working and whatever, and he'll just be like playing Zelda. I'm like, that is the most alpha shit.
Hell yeah, which one? The one on the Wii?
Tears of the
nice.
Kingdom.
On the Switch. Yeah, on
On
the
the
Switch. I don't play. Tears of the Kingdom. All right, I'm going to get back into
And
that.
Raya.
The second Michael sits down to play video games, I'm like, what are you doing?
I'm the alpha. Go work. Go make more products. Go book some guests. Go do more conference calls. Mrs. Big
That is
Shot.
kind of your
Like
energy.
Mrs. Big
It's like
Shot.
you're fucking vulture sitting back.
Ask her
playing
why?
some-
What?
Oh no, Michael will tell you.
No,
what.
actually, Dr.
Conover told
told
him.
me, he looked at all my stuff. He's like, hey, man, like I didn't know what he was going to prescribe for me. But he's like, I actually need you to go and do things like play video games because you're so wired and you need to like get into your parasympathetic where you're not thinking about anything. You're just kind of like,
But not like Call of Duty.
no. It's just like do something where you're like actively participating, but also zoning out and not like.
Do you know that Austin
stressing.
has a toy museum of vintage video games?
No.
I didn't know that. I know they have that toy store right there on
It's
Congress.
right off of 6th Street. It's got like Oregon Trail.
Oh,
It's got
vintage.
like old school Nintendo pack. What's that? Not only that, like it is so racist. It's like, did you behead a native? 4 points. You're like, Jesus. Like, and I don't think they said native. But like older video games I really like too. Like for my son, I want to get like the old school, like Game Boy Tetris, stuff like
Those
that.
games were like pretty harmless, to be honest. I grew up on those things. Now it's gotten a little crazy. some
How
of
do
the
you
games.
like being a mom?
I mean, I feel so unoriginal because everyone sort of says the same thing, Like, does anyone ever say I hate it? I don't like. Isn't one child services just show up? No, I mean it's a miracle for me. It's the only. I don't think I was ever present before having a kid. I don't think I knew what present even meant. It was just like so. I was always in the past or the future, and I was like, it kind of to me feels like what drugs were supposed to feel like. It's like what I wanted drugs to do and never worked.
When you have to leave with your schedule, this is one of the main questions I wanted to ask you. And you have to go do things and you have your son. How do you manage that? Because I have such a problem with it.
I walk out the door.
I know, but do you
look
feel
back.
guilty?
I don't feel guilty. Here's only because, again, it's not helpful or useful.
I know,
And
you're right.
I don't want my son to feel my guilt and think it's his fault or something. I think that like as adults, it's our job to take care of our emotional needs and not make our kids take care of our needs.
Yeah.
So sometimes and I think you're just beating yourself up for no reason. It's just like self-flagellating. Like, your kids have an incredible life. And you said the thing about, what is it? Intentional adversity. Like there it is. It's right there, fine. Like we have Nepo babies. I mean, someone said that to me the other day. They're like, how do you feel about having a Nepo baby? I was like, that was like terrifying to me.
What is a Nepo baby?
It's a baby that comes from someone that has, money, success, influence, and they benefit from that privilege
yeah.
in life. There's like a big backlash against Nepo babies right now, so for
Like,
me,
it's their fault.
yeah, but it's also, I know that if I leave and go make this money on the road, his life is going to be better because I'm more flexible now and I can stay home more with him. And when I'm with him, I can be more present. So like, I just try to do the sort of, to mention Tetris again in my head of I'll feel way guiltier if I don't go do this thing because then I'm going to be stressed about money when he's old enough to really notice that I'm gone.
That's actually very smart that you have to go kill the tiger so you can free up space to be with him to be more flexible.
Yeah, exactly.
Smart.
So it's like, but I think that the mom guilt thing, like it's really hardwired, I'm like, honestly.
He has none. He says he has none.
But also like 1,000 years ago in the woods, guilt is moms feeling guilty is what kept the babies alive. I'm not going to go do this thing and then a tiger eats, or like you go and you don't feel guilty. That was Darwinism. I think it's like, only the most anxious survive, which is why we're seeing so much, everyone's got anxiety. Only the guilty survive. Only the guilty moms, babies survived, So I think it's like sometimes just a matter of going like, oh, this is like a primordial reptilian, instinct that served my ancestors really well, but like not helpful here.
I don't feel guilty because to her point earlier, like I had a mother who I remember from a very young age working and sometimes working really late. And I do remember at times being a kid and like waiting for her to come home. But as I've gotten older, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's also informed what I'm attracted to in a woman. And I don't
sick.
like, I look at it as it's a good thing for our children to witness both of us doing productive things and then contextualizing it to them later.
Mm-hmm. I also think it's like okay to not always feel great.
Sure.
The thing is about program is, they say alcoholics, and by the way, for my thing, codependence, unrecovered Al-Anon, we say in order for alcoholism to be present, alcohol doesn't have to be present. So the word alcoholic is, kind of a bigger metaphor, symbolism. Something they say in there is alcoholics are the only people that think they deserve to be having fun all the time. And so it's taken me a long time to just be like, I feel guilty about leaving my son. It's just like, okay, you have discomfort from all the amazing blessings you have. You get to drive away from your son.
Oh no, Michael's gonna play this for me.
In a car to your job from your house that you get to live in.
Snap me out of it.
You know what I mean?
Keep going.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to
No, it's 100% right. You're so right.
Look, my son could be drowning in my pool right now for all I know. So maybe let's see how today goes. But to me, I also am really big on, I was raised by people that weren't my parents, but also I was around people that weren't my parents. So I also come from a kid needs a lot of people to love, So I have someone that, watches him when I'm gone. I have someone, I have a bunch of people that watch him when I'm not around. And I think that's good for him.
Yeah.
Because I never want him to see me overwhelmed either.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. Before you go, you to me seem like a very avid reader. What are you reading? What are you consuming?
That's a very nice thing to say.
Well, I always feel like you're reading something or highlighting something. Whenever I listen to your podcast, you seem like you read a lot.
I try to.
Yeah.
Also, your vocabulary is phenomenal.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I notice these things because a lot of people's vocabulary is absolutely atrocious.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I'm being
That's a big compliment from him.
Thank you.
How come you never say that to me?
Well, you got to stop reading biographies about old Hollywood.
I don't
What do you
just read
read?
biographies.
I'm kidding. She reads a lot.
I'm actually reading a fiction right now that's not. What do I read? I read everything. He's saying I just read biographies. That's so not true.
No, I'm joking.
I'm reading The Last Miss Parrish, and it's really good.
Have you
What's
read
it about?
The Little
It's
Engine
juicy.
That Could?
No.
What
A
are
little engine that could.
What's it about?
It's you have to read the first one, which is The Next Miss Parrish. It's just a very juicy, easy read. I like to flip flop. I'll go from that to something crazy. My next book is Michael really wants me to read this. Viktor Frankl.
Okay.
So completely opposite. I like chaos in the way I read.
Love it.
Yeah.
Do you is that would you consider that a hobby, or do you do it because you have to talk for a living?
Hobby. I love to read.
See, I'm obsessed with, and this is an ACA thing, but when I try to do a hobby, I can't not turn it into a business. I'll start reading and I'll be like, my Instagram story book club. And I'm just like, how do I just do this without, look at me reading? It's so hard to not turn it into a business because my workaholism will get me.
That makes sense, but it's productive.
But I'm glad that you're just able to just read. See, fiction, this is very toxic. I've never been a big fiction guy.
You got to read good, intense fictions that are not beach reads.
But I'm just this didn't happen.
Michael wants you to read Shogun. That's what he wants me to read. Shogun.
No.
You know what I mean?
I feel like that too.
But
I
But
get
you
that.
guys, it didn't.
I like historical fictions.
But that might not have happened either.
But Michael likes how someone can be that creative with their mind to make that up, right?
Totally. But also, even history that's nonfiction, I'm I don't even know if this happened.
That's true.
Everything I learned in school, I thought Columbus and the Pilgrims had a fun dinner.
Well, I think it's if it's good writing and not just kind of frivolous, mindless things.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
know.
hard. I do a lot of I have a lot of recovery reading. I mean, I'll just throw out things that I like.
Yeah,
and
tell
I try
me
to
some of your
reread.
recovery
The
reading.
Body That Keeps the Score is a good one. I'm sure you know about. I'll just
Okay.
throw out the ones. The Wrinkle Cure. I just said it. Really worth reading. I love Getting the Love You Want, which I mentioned. I'm just going to say I'm just going to throw out the ones that
all of Robert
impacted
Greene's
me.
you love.
All of Robert Greene's books I love. Marina Abramovic's autobiography I loved. She's a performance artist who's just a gangster. I read Steve Jobs autobiography. I love reading kind of that sort of stuff. Babe, what do I like? Who am I?
What's that book that you're
The
reading right
Bible?
now?
I'm reading a biography about Kurt Kerkorian.
Yeah,
Who's
that sounds good.
He's
That's
one of
another one thing.
the way they describe him in the book, but this is not a good example, but they were saying, and this is pre-presidency, so keep that in mind. He was basically one of the richest men in the United States that you've never heard of. He was the exact opposite of Donald Trump. He owned almost all of Vegas. He owned MGM for a while. He donated to a shitload of charities.
Does he talk about how he built Vegas?
He never wanted his name on a building, his name on anything. He was very shy, very quiet, and it was really hard to write the book, but he was one of the most successful entertainment real estate tycoons
I want
of
to
all
read
time.
that. That sounds good.
Ooh, I've Zen Mind, Zen Horse is a big one for me. I just started reading Coyote America. Dr. David Agus did a book about, it was ancestral animal wisdom. A lot of it's sort of like studying animal stuff. The New Right I read recently, the Michael Malice book, The Madness of Crowds, Douglas Murray. But yeah, I guess I'm a
Because
little.
you're a big reader.
Yeah,
I
seem like
try. I'm really trying.
You know what's a good book? This is a
I
biography.
can't get enough of Hitler. Oh. The guy was a star. Like, I cannot.
I haven't read anything on him.
Really?
You probably have, right?
No, I'm not sitting around with Mein Kampf, Lauren. No, I'm not.
I go on eBay and just buy these Hitler books.
Like about him?
Yeah, one is called I was Hitler's doctor. It's like the doctor that gave him all the methamphetamines and stuff.
That's
I'm
a
just
little
on the
too dark for
edge
me.
of my seat.
Is it good?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
You're
a
just
lot.
saying it's like fascinating. That
I'm fascinated by these weird. I also got really into collecting L. Ron Hubbard books.
going into Scientology. now?
I'm not in Scientology.
Oh,
They
when
said
you
no
just
to
said
me.
that.
No
They
way.
said no. They rejected me when I first moved to LA. I tried so hard, and they were not interested.
They couldn't
Why?
mold you. They couldn't
No.
mold you enough.
I have
They're
snitch
interested
energy.
now.
I have a big call me.
You were gonna tell. You were
Show
gonna
up.
tell.
I'm telling you, I went. A girlfriend of mine was recruited. She was becoming like famous at the time, and that's who they would sort of target. And so Helena Christensen invited her to like a brunch. Okay, I'm 20 years old. I'm living in a studio apartment. I'm literally making money at Buffalo Exchange. I went to an acting class with Sean Lennon, and was a friend of mine, and he would leave like really valuable vintage T-shirts at my house, and I would sell them at Buffalo Exchange for money. I have told him that I did this, and that's how I would make money. And so I was like $40,000 in debt, and then I would do my focus groups, and then I went to the Scientology Center. It is. Have you seen it on Franklin? I mean, it's
huge.
It's magical. It's Narnia. And we pull in, and Ginny's like, oh no, my friend that I was with. I should probably blur that out. Who gives a shit? And and I'm in there, and I was like, I'm in. Like, I was like, this is what I thought Hollywood was. Hollywood was this like shithole. I'm in this horrible apartment. I was like, this is what I came for.
Yeah.
Like, I want to live in a castle with a bunch of actors. The guy from Lost was there. Giovanni Ribisi's there having brunch. I'm like, yes, where do I sign? Where do you do the retinal scan? What do you want from me? And they were just not interested. I was
Why?
I would like to enroll in this.
They just said no.
Psychiatry sounds like
Hey,
a scam.
I will say, in that particular field, I feel like if you're a star or an actor or a comedian or like somebody with a platform, like they really take care of you.
Okay.
Don't you feel that?
But I'm
like,
a snitch. I'm a big man. I'm not
but
someone
I'm saying,
that they
like, I
would
think,
want.
like, for
They
like,
must have thought they couldn't control you.
Yeah, no. I mean, because I have since now I'm obsessed. It's if you reject me, your life is going to get tricky. I have now looked into all the maritime law stuff, like their boats and shit. Like I'm kind of obsessed with
Her book's Leah Remini
Remini,
is a good book.
yeah.
That's a good book.
I'm just kind of obsessed. It's also I'm a little bit like, look, I feel like if you're susceptible to that cult, you should do it.
I kind of get what you're saying.
What would the people that think that's a
I
good
know what you're
idea,
saying.
if they were loose in the streets, what would they be doing?
Yeah, if you think it's a good idea, you should join it.
I don't want you out, or, you know what I mean? I don't want you on Hinge. We don't go do that.
I think people want a community, some people, so bad that that's attractive.
That's my biggest fascination right now. This is what I'm sort of working on for my next special, Adrenaline Junkie or whatever it is.
Adrenaline
is how we fill the God-sized hole. It's been interesting to see as religion has, sort of gone out of vogue or whatever it is. Like, I mean, religion serves the purpose of like productivity, cooperation, makes dopamine, people cooperating, having community, and that's gone away. And I'm fascinated by these other religions that we kind of make, whether it's like yoga, whether it's astrology, whether it's ketosis, whether it's I'm taking blood from my son. Carnivore diet, like all of these MMA, all these other religions that we kind of don't see that way. All these atheists that are like, screw religion. And then they're like in Soul Cycle every day, like crying. So I'm fascinated by the ways that we kind of fill the God-size hole.
Whitney Cummings, you are damn good on a mic. You have an open invite to come on our podcast whenever you want, anytime. You know what? We'll kick Michael off. You can come on with Chris. Come on anytime you want. I know you're busy, but honestly, you're really great on a mic. Where can everyone find you? Pimp yourself out.
I'm sarahsilverman.com. No, I am touring right now, so I'm coming to Austin soon.
When you come,
we will come see
Dallas,
you.
Houston, Austin. Yeah, I'm
Done.
at the Moody Theater at the Live.
Okay.
What is it called? Austin City Limits Live.
Oh, when?
September 6th,
Over
I
there.
think.
Over
Yeah,
there.
and then I'm doing a bunch of tour dates and stuff.
I can't believe you stand on stage and you make people laugh. That is not a fucking joke.
So when you
a
grow up in
lot of work.
alcoholism and you're trying to make alcoholics laugh all your childhood, it's kind of the same thing.
I mean, that's what you're doing. You're making people drinking laugh.
You go to Pilates. I don't know how you do that.
Pilates, traditional Pilates,
Ugh.
it's quiet. It lowers
Oh.
my cortisol.
But it's like hard, right?
Pilates is not really what I focus on. I focus on weightlifting. That's changed.
Okay, Pilates looks like a prank.
It's more for mobility.
Okay.
It's more for like stretching and
I
opening
stretch,
my
like, all day.
posture.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like
And you're on that like thing that your former.
But I just do that like 1 hour a week.
Okay.
The
Okay,
weightlifting,
that's
yeah,
it.
the weightlifting is what.
You're mostly, that's my thing too. Do you do like cardio?
I do a little bit of cardio, but mainly weightlifting.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, I do like Andrew's like
We
zone.
listen to a Huberman episode, and that's what we do now.
Zone
you know?
1, zone 2, whatever it's called.
Whatever,
Oh, okay.
whatever he
Whatever
told
I'm
us to do.
supposed to do.
Yeah,
just kidding.
But-
Then he was like, make sure to sleep 8 hours. What would I do without you?
Whitney, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Whitney.